Hola, this is a validation video. I've got to come up with a better name for them. But the basic premise is I would like to leave some breadcrumb trails of what I've been doing or thinking about over time. And sitting in quarantine week or month 4 seemed like a good time to get started on it and work on my pseudo public speaking and try to challenge myself to something other than journaling or blogging or something like that that I could put off and not have moments like that and then spend who knows how long editing, re-editing, and rethinking the thought instead of just getting it down and kind of materializing it somewhere easily accessible as a short little clip. And part of this reasoning to do videos like this is the idea that I really think that art is really the crystallization of the creative, explorative process, be it intellectual, abstract, or literal. That's why there's a sense of art in procedures for mechanization. Why there's a sense of art in architecture and utility is because there's a code there signifying a past discovery, and things that we get to use become necessary, become tools, but they're like one subset of a crystallization of ideas, and saving that whole process of discovery in some way that the next person that sees this not just sees this, but hopefully sees a image of someone trying something new, and they can learn from that for better or worse, right? And so I think really dedicating to that idea of creating something first and capturing it somehow has importance all of its own, regardless of the content, right? That's why shit posts work, and that's why maybe meme culture in general is cool, because there's less of this editing and perfecting, because what we're pulling out of it is raw data about something, right? And the simpler you can make that, the more already based in what everyone's already talking about, the faster you can absorb it. And I think there's a place for both, because you want to communicate big ideas effectively, quickly, but you also want to connect those ideas to long-standing understanding so that they can have kind of a cultural ground to stand on in some sense, so that when people look back through history, they get why someone made a decision eventually, why things changed. Otherwise, they're prone to go back to those old ones. And part of that's the understanding history concept, but part of that is also we don't have much control, but what control we do have should be relegated to some sense of walking towards a progression instead of a regression, I think. Because I think the regression happens automatically all the time. We fall back into old habits, say naturally, but it's definitely easy to do that. So it takes that extra effort to try to build forward and make a system of knowledge and new ideas that is self-sustaining. And the best way to do that is to materialize something out of it, so that the iPhone happened, and it's really hard to go back now because we have an image of how the world can be, and that kind of crystallized our existence and will make a step for the next people to grow off of, or decide it's a bad idea, or whatever happens now has a stepping stone of like, look, they did that. And so maybe you can see me doing something, it sounded stupid, and talking in circles and not be that guy, or be 1% of something that I am showing here. And I have a huge tendency to kind of blow things up so big that sounds like I'm very conflated, and I feel like that's something I want to address right off the bat, is that I try to come at ideas with a level of humility that basically says I have no idea. My whole world could be turned upside down at some point. And then from there, I like to just make a decision, make a call, and build it out and see where that understanding goes. And maybe it falls flat on its face, or I learn something out of it. And so to get a bunch of steps into these random ideas, it takes making some assumptions. And I hope I state those assumptions somewhat clearly, but they are just assumptions. And so I don't want to come off as ever thinking I know a bunch. And that's not the goal. The goal is it's all for me, really. This is for me. And part of it would be cool is to bounce these ideas, to kind of sculpt them out against other minds, but it's for me. So I don't want to talk anymore, and that seems like a good place to end.